The first trimester. It's a wonderful time. It's a great time. When you most likely figure out when you're pregnant, unless you're on that show where like people didn't know they were pregnant.
When Jasmine suddenly experienced extreme abdominal pain, she thought it was menstrual cramps. And Jasmine didn't even know she was pregnant.
You are having a baby.
I'm sorry. How do you just not know you're pregnant? Anyways, your body makes some changes. You feel different, you don't feel the same, and it prompts you to take a pregnancy test. One of the first signs you're an expecting mother is fatigue. Some women dread nausea, some women dread having to go to the potty every 5 minutes. Actually, you know what? If you're pottying every 5 minutes pregnant, that's still not okay. You might need to check for a UTI, consult with your doctor. The thing I dread the most with the first trimester isn't needing to go to the bathroom, isn't even the nausea. It's pregnancy fatigue. Now, if you are pregnant for the first time, this might not be a big deal for you. My first time, it wasn't a huge deal for me because I was working part-time. So I could still sneak in a nap and then wake up and cook dinner before my husband got home. But the more times you're pregnant, chances are very likely you have other children. So no, you can't just like, retreat and do your own thing. You still gotta take care of the kids even when you are dead tired. So that is what we are talking about today. This is my third pregnancy, so I've learned a few things that I didn't know before. Here we go. Let's jump right into these. Have a schedule. No flying by the seat of your pants. That is a bad idea. You need a schedule that goes from day to day as best as it can. And the most important in that schedule is nap time. Not just for the kids, but for you. Yes, and if you do not have a regular nap time in your schedule, I promise you, you're missing out. Plus, nap time, especially for children at least to the age of 5, is really important for their brain development. So even if you have that kid who is resistant to nap time, really start building those habits to help them fall asleep. If you've got a toddler who's resistant to nap time, start to slow the day down. The hour before it's time for them to sleep so they can get in that rhythm. Sit down, read a book, dim the lights. Worst case scenario, just lock yourself in the room with the kids and everybody lays down and at least closes their eyes. If you have older kids though who are not napping, then at least teach them to do quiet time. And that might be where you still lock yourself in the room so you don't fall asleep and kids are wandering through the house. I'm sacrificing my nap time so I can make this video. This is also why my videos are coming out slower, because normally I do videos while my kids are asleep, and now I'm doing nap time. For me, this is the ultimate key to surviving the first trimester. I'm gonna get into some more tips that are super helpful, but honestly, if you do not have nap time, I'm sorry, you're done. Nap time is sacred. Treat it like so. Don't skip nap time for you or your babies. Step 2, find ways to lighten your load. Things you wouldn't normally do, but you're gonna do for this season, at least till you hit that light at the end of the tunnel at 16 weeks when you get a little bit of your energy back and you're not reaching for the coffee. If you can't afford it in the evening, maybe do some paper goods or ask your husband to help you out. The other thing you can do is make sure there's not too many toys out for you to clean up. Just take some of their toys, hide them away, just enough toys for them to be happy, but not too many toys for everything to be chaos. The other thing, since my kids are older, they're 2 and 5, I get them to help me clean up 2 different times of the day. Before they get out of their room from nap time, they have to clean up the toys in their room, and before daddy gets home, they have to clean up all the toys in the living room so they're not just scattered about. This saves me from like bending over and picking up and cleaning and picking up. Before I was doing it all myself. Now I'm training my children to do it. It teaches them responsibility, but it also really lightens my load not to have to clean up toys scattered all around the house. So if your children are old enough, get them involved in helping you clean as soon as possible. Also, if you've been pregnant before, you know that the the further you get along, the harder it is to bend over. Honestly, you shouldn't be bending over, you should be squatting. But it's quite the workout to get something off the floor. Train your kids to help you pick up stuff when you drop it. Life hack, they're closer to the ground, they can just hand it to you. Also, going back to the paper goods, if you can't do that, try to do more like one pot meals as much as you can than having multiple dishes. Like for me, a regular meal would be sweet potatoes in the Instapot, cooking vegetables on top of the stove, and then cooking the meat on top of the stove. And so then I've got 3 different things to clean up 3 large dishes. You can put them all in one pot, like a crock pot meal or Instapot meal. Then you just have one large dish to wash, or even when that dish cools down, you can just put it in the fridge and store it for later, so it's one less dish to wash. Can you tell I'm not a fan of dishwashing? Especially tiring when you're pregnant. If you're going solo, getting out of the house, do it in the morning when you can. If you have appointments, if you have a grocery run, if you're taking the kids on a play date, do it in the morning time frame, likely before their nap time, and that way you have the evening to get a quick little rest in and then dive into the afternoon chores and dinner. Don't ever move or skip nap time. It is the worst idea you could come up with as a pregnant mom. Actually, it's bad even if you're not pregnant and you have toddlers. They are just not happy campers when they miss their nap time.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
This one, people may hate me for saying. I mean, quite honestly, last 2 pregnancies, I might have felt the same way. But what I've learned this pregnancy is do not skip exercise.
Go hit the gym.
You might be thinking, I'm too tired to be doing exercise. This lady is crazy. No, trust me, starting your day off with exercise is going to give you energy through the day. I know that sounds crazy, but it makes a huge difference for me. And I'm not talking about heavy exercise. I'm talking about taking a good walk in the day or the morning time frame to keep those energy levels up. If you're already lifting weights, you can lightly lift weights in the morning. Talk to your doctor or midwife about how much you should be lifting and what you should be doing. Personally, I lift weights 3 times a week, and then I walk 4 to 5 days a week optimally. This keeps me in good shape going into the next trimester. My muscle is not going to atrophy. It's not going away. I'm not going to be working up a hill. I'm going to still be maintaining that muscle that I built pre-pregnancy to help me through the pregnancy. It's such a bad idea, in my opinion, to stop exercise because you are pregnant, because that muscle is what helps you postpartum recovery, getting weaker through pregnancy, and then especially going postpartum with toddlers with less muscle is just, it's so much harder. My last pregnancy, there was some concern if I lifted too much or I overworked out, maybe it would push me into preterm labor because I had a history of preterm labor. So I just backed off exercise. And let me tell you, the recovery, it was harder, and it was harder to get back into exercise. And I had struggles with my shoulders and my neck and just the pain because I just didn't have good muscle build in my neck and shoulders. This time around, I'm not skipping out. I reduced the heaviness of the weights, but I have not reduced the weight lifting. Talk to your doctor, talk to your midwife about what's appropriate for you to lift, what kind of lifts are appropriate for you. Do not skip exercise. It will help you survive fatigue in your first trimester and throughout the pregnancy and post-pregnancy, which we all know is a hard time. And for me personally, I feel like that's the harder time than being pregnant. Make sure you are supplementing well. The first one, which I actually forgot to mention in my last video on everything I'm taking in my pregnancy, and I guess I missed it putting it in there, but vitamin D. The next thing is a good quality B vitamin complex. Do not skip out on the B vitamins. This has made a big difference for me, is finding a B vitamin supplement that I actually absorb. And I've tried a lot of expensive ones, and I've actually settled on this one, which is kind of funny because this one's definitely a cheaper one from the ones I've tried. Also, I'm eating a pretty meat heavy diet, animal products. We're talking collagen, gelatin, beef, and fish. And I feel like that has also been instrumental in keeping my energy levels up. My next tip is do not drink caffeine every day. And I know this is gonna be a hard one. Some of us are reaching for caffeine every day, all day. No, what you need is for that caffeine to work on your worst days, okay? Second of all, what you do not need is to be addicted to caffeine to where you get a headache if you miss your caffeine dose. Slowly wean yourself off. Get yourself unaddicted to caffeine. Try not to reach for that caffeine until your worst days. That is when you want the caffeine to work. If I were taking caffeine every day, the effect would be much lower. Also, girlfriend, you do not need your adrenaline all the time, as caffeine can tend to do to people. Treat your adrenals kindly and strategically use caffeine. You might think it's best to just power through the day and crash at night, and that's what I was trying to do. And let me tell you, I've learned that it does not work. The best mode of action I found, especially on the days where I'm more nauseous and exhausted, is having scheduled breaks throughout the day. Maybe it's just 20 minutes of sitting down. You may feel unproductive. You may feel like there's so much for you to do, but I promise you, if you have those little breaks in the day, you're gonna be more likely to be energized and charged to keep going. If you are a busy mama, if you have children who have more medical needs, you will get this. Or even if you're just a really social person who likes to have their calendar full, you'll know what I'm talking about right here. And that is making sure you at least have 2 days where you're home and you're not going anywhere. First off, gas prices are insane right now, so probably should try to do this more if you can. But for me, right now, I have a child who is in speech therapy multiple days per week. We have doctor's appointments, chiropractic appointments, my OB appointments. Then we have church. And then you have the grocery run. There's so much things that you're doing for your kids and for the household. I found it's so much better to try to stack as much as I can in one morning and get that done in that day than to just try to spread it all throughout the week. And my 2 days home does not count as Sunday, and it does not count as Saturdays. Well, sometimes it counts as Saturday, but usually Saturdays we have different like family events. There's a birthday party that's being thrown. Some get together we're going to. Sunday we're going to church. And then even if I just stay for the morning service, I'm one of those people who are mold sensitive. So even in like light exposure to mold, I will have fatigue afterwards. So I'm just dead Sunday after church. It's not a good time, so that does not count as a rest day. So the week, I need to make sure at least I have a Monday where I'm getting stuff done, and I have at least a Friday. And in the middle of the week, I'll have my spurts of appointments. Unfortunately, this week I broke that rule, and I am out of the house every day this week. The last thing I'm going to suggest is find a way to occupy your children, because you know if you have a 2 and a 5-year-old, they find things for you to do 24/7, and you don't have rest. It's either mommy, I need a snack, or mommy, I need to put on a different pair of pants, mommy, I want to put on 2 pairs of shoes, mommy, I need the crown. They think of everything that you could possibly do for them. You're like a little genie that they rub the lamp and they tell you their wishes, but they don't get 3 wishes, they have 4 billion. Start getting used to telling your children to wait or no, but more ideally, find a way to occupy them. If that's a designated time where they could sit and play with Play-Doh at the counter or coloring, do that so you can get things done. Also, things that I personally do, I have them go play on their playground. I have a window from the kitchen I can see them from, so if I'm washing dishes, I can see my whole backyard. It's fenced in. I just watch them while I'm doing dishes. If I'm in the house and I can't watch them from the window, then I'll play music and let them listen to music. Or you can even, on Spotify, they have different short Peppa Pig stories on there, and they like to sit and listen to those. That's one way I occupy them. You could invite a friend over and have your friend with their kid play with your kid. That occupies them. But you know, since gas is so insane right now, it is not a lot of opportunity for that if you happen to live out in the country and your friends are like an hour or 2 hours away. So
I don't need friends, they disappoint me.
Also, another thing I do is I take walks with my kids when it just gets overwhelming and they're just getting into everything. I have a wagon. I load my toddlers in the wagon and I take them for a walk, so I'm getting exercise and I'm getting a little bit of my sanity back by keeping my kids occupied. Also, the kids love it. They just love being outside and getting that sunshine and looking at the wildflowers and hearing the birds chirp. It's just good for us all. Are you a more experienced mom than me and you've got tips to share? Make sure to share them down below or tell me on Instagram because I'm there. If you have questions or suggestions, you can contact me on my Instagram account, Anna Westphilia. If you disagree with me or you think my tips are the worst, comment down below. I'll read them and cry in my sleep. Maybe, probably not.